welcome back to this month's section of Embodied Engagement with me, Kate Crouch, here at Missoula Art Museum, where we're looking at Ellen Ornitz's work, Burnt Fossils. And as you can see, this work is all ceramics, and these vessels are what almost look like archives from life and from death. Her work was done during the pandemic, and each vessel is a little bit different. They're just absolutely beautiful. And because it's a musing on mortality, we are going to be working with that as our subject today. I recommend that you could take a seat, you could lie down on the floor, and you could also grab a pencil and paper if you'd like. We're just going to be doing some internal work as well. So the first thing that I think of when I think of mortality is our relationship to ourselves and all of these ideas that we have of who we are. And there's some work that's being done called intersectionality. And if you haven't done this work before, it's really useful for identifying your position to dominance in society, your position in relationship to power. It's an anti-racist workshop that you could take. And today we're just going to be using that as a jumping off point for identity. Again, if you want to take a piece of paper and write down, go right ahead. So for instance, these are truths, things that you came into the world with, something that you can't necessarily change. So for myself, I was born cisgendered, meaning that I identify with the gender that I was born with. I'm white, I'm female, and then we get into socioeconomics, and you can do this work on your own, whether it's how you grew up, your position now, just these truths, these things that we can't necessarily get away from. It's easy to make a list of, or just start to sort of tick those things off in your head. So this is our intersectionality work. This is realness. This is an actual. And then we'll start to get more comfortable. Maybe, again, if you want to lie down, that's fine. If you enjoy writing these things down, that's fine as well. So we'll think about traits, things that you identify as. Some of this would be work traits, things that you like. These are things that you might change or that change over the course of your life. You could be a dog owner now. It's things that you identify with that are mutable, that can come and go. What's another one? Beliefs about yourself would be a good one, something that changes over time, or a realization that you have. So you could write these down again, or just start to think for yourself. What are things that you identify with? It could be being a parent. That's a big one. If you self-identify with your work, your education, that's another one. So just take a moment to think about those. Okay, so we're starting to bring down these different layers. And I'm using our relationship with ourselves and this artist's work as the foundation for revealing what are our fossils of selves, what are things that change and what are things that don't change, and what's left behind after we die. So let's take a breath and start to go a little bit more deeply. Now, once you've created all of these things that you identify with yourself, we're going to start to think about ways that you can free yourself from those attachments. So this is some work that I've been reading from Lama Rod Owens, and if you look them up, this sounds really silly, but it's not 2 L's, it's 1 L for a Lama. The Buddhist Lama, if you do double L, you're going to get something like Lama Red Pajamas. So if you want to Google Lama Rod Owens, go right ahead. And their work on detachment helps with letting go the stresses. So during this pandemic, or even before what's happening now, there's a lot of things that are being forced to let go of. Some of those are good, some of those are bad. Depends on who you are. Let's maybe close your eyes and think about, over the past 2-3 years, what are some things that you've maybe been forced to let go of? And how has that changed your self-identity? You can just pick one thing, and if nothing bubbles to the surface, maybe it will later. Here we'll start to feel the effect of that in the body itself. And a breath. Start to get more comfortable. If you want to lie down, that might feel nice. So as you begin to breathe in and breathe out, notice where you're connected to the earth and where you're connected to the ground. And then notice where you're feeling exposed. So we'll get the sense of our body almost dropping through the floor into the earth itself. Sometimes you can think of yourself as a seed, or just allowing the weight of the body to drop down. And then start to notice as you breathe in that there's space being created. You might even feel a lightness as these layers of the body begin to separate. So you'll take an inhale, feel that lightness on the front side of the body. And exhale, start to feel the back side of the body heavy, perhaps even sinking into the ground. Just spend 3 or 4 breaths getting used to those sensations. You can feel the bones as they drop down. And then we're going to work on our sense of detachment. So see if you can allow your identity of body and space, these intersectionalities of yourself, these ways that you self-identify, to stay in that heavy part. Stay and drop down into the ground and allow them to be buried. See if you can feel your physical form press down. And when this becomes uncomfortable, it's fine that if it becomes uncomfortable, that's fine. Tether yourself back with that inhale and exhale, that lightness. So we drop down, we release, let go, like you can bury yourself. And then this lightness and freedom as you inhale. What I find very interesting is in the body is that our lungs' natural state is actually empty, so that breathing in is life. It's what animates. So we feel lightness as you lift, and exhale, that heaviness. Spend a couple of moments just getting used to that. And as if, rather than feeling like the whole self-identity is completely letting go, that's a lot. Think about something that you could keep buried, that doesn't need to carry on. And like you're stepping forward, to see if you can take a breath in, let that go as you just energetically or internally make that step forward or away. And this is our detachment. It's a very small practice. It doesn't need to be big. What's an identity you've been holding on to that's not really doing anything for you anymore? Maybe it was useful at one time and it's not anymore, or it's a slow shift or change. And let that be archived. Let it sink, be buried. And thinking about what gets left behind. So we're question what is most important as we move forward. When you look back on your life, what are things that you wish you had let go of? So go ahead and do that now, or do it 1,000 times. And then when you feel ready, and think about how mortality, death is one of the universal shared experiences. So as we take a look at the artwork that is the inspiration for this meditation and embodiment, engaging with it, it's all different life forms that have been left behind. Even the pebbles have gone through their shifts and changes, their ebbs and flows. The soil, the clay itself that's been used here, it's a transition, it's transforming. And it's kind of amazing that this is a shared experience. So we think about that lightness and lift rather than just needing it to be dark and heavy. Where are you feeling this in your body now? Does it feel tight, or can you let that softness happen? And take 4 or 5 more breaths. Remembering that openness, lift, and light as you inhale. And heaviness, and you sigh out. 2 or 3 more. And if you'd like to, when you blink open, when you're done listening or watching, go back and go through your list, whether that's mentally, and notice if there's anything already that feels like you can bury, that you can fossilize, you can let go of. Let's take a final breath together, feeling the body come back into itself, that big tethering of breath. I hope that you enjoyed this, and perhaps you have an opportunity to come and see this work in person. Thank you.